I think this is the most I've yelled break up while watching 90 Day Fiancé in a really long time. But the good thing about Paradise is at least there's beautiful scenery while these people are yelling about the same issues over and over and over again. Welcome back to the Max Reality. If you've seen my face before, then you know the drill, but if you're new here, I love talking all things reality TV, and I just recently finished season 4 of TLC's 90 Day Fiancé Love in Paradise, and I wanted to come on and give my quick opinions about the 4 new couples that we met this season. I would assume if you clicked on this video, you probably have some idea of how the 90 Day universe works, but if not, I'll give you a quick little rundown. 90 Day Fiancé is a show where people, usually Americans for this version, there's a 90-day universe. There's a bajillion versions of this show. But the general concept is Americans falling in love with people abroad and their relationships. Usually they're engaged or they're trying to become engaged. With Love in Paradise, it's usually just people who are dating and are not engaged yet, people who met on holiday, things like that, and you're seeing the American go back to wherever they met their paradise love and go through the trials and tribulations. And just in case you are literally completely brand new to this, the reason it's called 90 Day Fiancé in the first place is the original, just normal 90 Day Fiancé is a show where Americans specifically are having the love that they met over in a different country come to America and do the K-1 visa process, which is the person from out of the United States coming to America, and they have 90 days to get married so that the person can move there and they can fall in love. And since that original show, 90 Day Fiancé, there has been spin-off after spin-off after spin-off, and this is one of them. Now that we are all starting on the same page, it is time to get into our couples. The first couple we're going to talk about is Alex. She is 30 from Dallas, Texas, and she has met the love of her life in Italy, Adriano, who is 33. They met while Alex was on vacation and decided to go on the dating apps in Italy, and they ended up matching on her last day there, but they just never stopped talking, and they have been in a relationship as boyfriend and girlfriend for the past year, but have only spent about 10 days actually in person with each other. And their main problem through this entire 10 episodes is pretty much the fact that Adriano wants to have threesomes and Alex doesn't. That is the big thing that we go through with them. This is why I'm talking about them first, because I can't say it was the most frustrating. All these couples were very frustrating for their own different and special reasons, but I feel like this one's going to be easier to go through. And this has been such a prevalent issue that they've actually broken up over it twice. Incredible to me. The best part of this whole time that they're together in Italy, besides for them just continually fighting over this, is there is a point where Adriano decides to take Alex to have dinner with his family. And during the car ride over there, they start kind of getting into a conversation about God, because apparently he's not religious and he doesn't believe in God, but she knows his parents are religious. So she comes up with the idea that she's just going to kind of like confront him about that, because as you would assume, the religiousness and the threesomes are kind of tied together. But anyway, she goes into this conversation being like, I am not just going to meet this man's family and try to have a good time and be loved and accepted. I'm going to try to use his parents to guilt this man into getting back in religion. And it backfires. And it is so funny. His parents are just like this lovely old like Catholic Italian family. And they're like, as long as he's a good person, who cares? Who cares? And it's so good. But not for Alex, who gets so frustrated by this. And even at one point is just like, if you were a godly man, like, I wouldn't be worried because, like, you would know how to love me. I know you would know how to love me. And it's like, girl, if all you need is to be a godly man to like know how to love you, just go find any godly man then. Why are you arguing with this man? Like what is happening? And this particular couple is one of the ones that like makes me angry while making me frustrated at the same time, because the things they're arguing over are just so fundamental that it's like, why are you arguing about this? There are just some things that, like, if you say they're a deal breaker for you, make them a deal breaker. I hate watching people who are like, well, I need a godly man, but I found this man and I like him, and I'm just gonna need him to change. And it's a problem on both ends, because both of them feel like they're gonna change their minds. Adriano is like, this girl's gonna change her mind about threesomes. I know it. If I just bring it up enough and I'm just super annoying about it, she's gonna change her mind. And she's like, if I just keep bringing up God, I'll make him religious. That's what people want. If you just keep yelling at them about God, that will make them religious. It works. It works a lot of the time. No, it doesn't. So that's how I felt about them. I'm not even going to spend a really long time on them, because that's the basis of how I feel. Like, that's pretty much everything summed up, because that's all this was for the most part. Oh, I did forget a funny story, though, that I feel like you'll all enjoy if you did not watch this. Another great moment is Adriano, Alex's cousin is there. And at some point when they're talking about threesomes, like, between just Alex and Adriano makes a joke being like, I would have a threesome with you and your cousin. Terrible. I whole body cringed. I was like, break up. I just don't understand. I'm done. I'm done with this one. The next couple we are going to talk about is Luke, who is 30, from Los Angeles, California, and his fiancée, Madelein, who is 19, from Colombia. They met while Luke was on vacation. They've been together for about a year and got engaged 6 months ago. And the plan was for Luke to move down to Colombia, but there's been a slight problem with that. Luke has recently lost his job. So this trip was supposed to be him moving to Colombia, but instead, he decided to keep it a secret for a whole month that he lost his job and come down there with her thinking that he's coming down to move, but no, he's going to tell her there that actually he's not sure when he's going to be able to move because, surprise, I lost my job. On top of all that, he supports them both, and both of them live, lavish lifestyles. That's the way they described it on the website I was reading earlier, so that's what I'll say. That's the nice way to say it. They have very lavish lifestyles. Luke has opened a whole business for her down there in Colombia, doing beauty type stuff, nails, lashes, that sort of thing. Yeah, so it's not even just a like, oh, I'm not going to be able to move, I need to save some money. It's like, oh, our whole entire lives are going to change because I am broke. The only sliver of little bit of credit I will give this man, the one thing I will even kind of say that I think is positive, is he did not wait very long. When he got to Colombia, it was pretty much one of the first conversations they had. I mean, might be editing a little? Probably. But even just from the timeline of their trip, it seemed like it was the first night of him being there. A lot of people would wait longer than that. So I'm glad he just got it out in the open, laid it down on the table. That is the one part that went right, in my opinion. But back to the bad things. One thing we find out is that Luke, this man who has lost his job, decides the best thing for him to do is to take his 401k, cash it in, and spend half of it to start up a sunglasses company that he had the idea to start. He wanted to pay for the first round of products, and when he said this, I just was like, this can't be real. This can't be for real. This is not a real person saying real words. The idea, the sunglasses, y'all, innovation here. The sunglasses fold up and then have like a chain thing on the back so you can wear it as a necklace instead. And he's talking about how like, oh, it looks cool. I tell you, my friends, it does not look cool. It looks like folded up sunglasses that are on a chain. When this man said he spent half of his 401k and then showed us the glasses, I just wish I could had my face recorded. I just was shocked. I literally was like, this is not a real person. I'm still not completely 100% convinced that this is for real, for real, for real. So I feel like you can imagine getting all this news. Very much upsets her, but she's still in love with him. She wants to start planning their wedding because, he's still going to move down there eventually, and that causes a lot of friction. That's the main plot point we see during this season with them is them trying to plan things and Luke being like, I don't have any money, but also I want you to sign a prenup, and it's just a big mess. Finances are the big thing with them. I feel like so far you can probably already start to see some of the uniquely frustrating things with watching this couple, but we're gonna number one start out with, I can't imagine. I'm gonna be 29 later this year. I cannot imagine dating a 19-year-old. I'm sorry. There's age gap relationships are very nuanced, but the difference between a 19-year-old and a 30-year-old is ridiculous. When I heard their ages, I had to back it up because I thought I read it wrong, and it just is so frustrating because he'll get mad at her about certain things, and I just kept yelling, it's because she's 19. She's 19. I'm sorry, my guy, but you're the adult in this situation. You're dealing with a 19-year-old. But to be fair to her, he doesn't seem like the most mature 30-year-old in the world. He still shouldn't be with a 19-year-old, but it's that part of their relationship is super deeply frustrating. And at the end of it all, they have their problems that come from both sides, but at the end of the day, I'm always going to fault the 30-year-old who was like, yeah, I'm just going to bankroll the life of a 19-year-old in Colombia and just that's going to go fine for me. They have trust issues, there's this, there's that, but it all stems from why on God's green earth did you think this was a good idea? Where was the thought process? The answer is there's not one. No thoughts happening up there. Our next couple is Shawn, who is 61 from New York, and his girlfriend Alliya, who is 25 from Brazil. Alliya is a beautiful trans woman. They met online 3 years ago and have been dating ever since. Their big storyline is that when they first met was pre-Alliya's transition, and because they're not together all the time, and this transition journey started, it seems like about halfway into the 3 years of them dating. It's something that Shawn's been adjusting to and learning about if this is a relationship he wants to keep pursuing now that Alliya has started to grow and change into her own beautiful self. And while I also had a bunch of frustrations with this couple and honestly don't really feel like they should be together, this was my favorite story to watch because it felt the most real. It felt like there were real things going on versus the other couples. Their problems were just annoying to me. It was truly deeply just annoying, but these feel like real life emotions and things were happening that made it so much more interesting to watch. I mostly watched this season for these two. So the first point I obviously want to talk about, since we were just talking about it with the previous couple, is the age gap. 61 and 25. It's just not my favorite thing. Didn't love that. Really all I have to say about that. I just not a big fan. That was my first kind of red flag going on. And now I think it's just time for me to rant about Shawn. I've been holding a lot of this in. I just needed to take a moment to collect myself. I think I'll start off with kind of my more positive things. I do feel like Shawn wants to support Alliya. I feel like deep down he does love her and want to support her. I do wholeheartedly believe that. While that is true, there is other things that can also be true at the same time, which is I don't think he's necessarily supporting her well. One of the things that I just could not stand was the way he was talking about Alliya pre-transition. The way he talked about it was just very weird to me, and I get that it's something he's learning about, but it just made me deeply uncomfortable. The thing that made me the most, actually mad was at one point, he was talking about the relationship differences, and he says that before transition, she used to be very, shy and, what was the word there was a word he used that was so frustrating, I have to check. He said she was scared and vulnerable and shy pre-transition, and that was something he liked about her, versus now she's very extroverted and confident, and he doesn't know if he likes those changes. If somebody is into you because you're like timid and scared of the world and you become confident and they're not into you anymore, I'm begging you to leave them. That was I just hearing that made leveled the rage. I'm losing my words again. To get my mind off that, we will talk about the shining point of this couple, which is Alliya. I loved watching her. We meet her friend at one point, who I love, and please listen to your friend. Please, she wants to help you. Her friend says pretty much the same thing I did, because it's either brought up in front of her, like Shawn says something to that effect in front of her, or Alliya tells her that Shawn said that. One way or the other, she hears this information and says pretty much the same thing I did, of like, what do you mean he doesn't want you to be confident? Because what does that mean? Like, what do you mean you don't want your partner to be confident? I would love an explanation on this. The only thing that sounds like is somebody who wants to be like manipulative and controlling. I forgot I was supposed to stop thinking about Shawn for a second. I'm so sorry. Alliya, though, back to her. So fun, so beautiful. I loved anytime we really just got to talk to her about her journey through life and how she kind of got to this point in her life and how she's feeling about everything. Learning about her was fantastic. In my perfect world, they would end up breaking up and Alliya would go on 90 Day Fiancé, the single life edition, and we could watch her dating and being fun and flirty and thriving. That would be my dream world. If there is a God up there listening to me, please, please, please. Unfortunately, though, they do get engaged in the final episode, which it's one of those things that, like, if you're happy, I'm happy, but I fear that she won't be happy. I really worry about how this relationship will go. And at the end of the day, I just want what's best for Alliya and Shawn, but mostly Alliya. So, and to give my final piece about them, I'll say again, I don't think Shawn's a bad person. I feel like you could come away from this feeling like he is a bad person, but I really don't think he is. I don't want anybody to think that, and I say this a lot when I'm talking about reality TV, but at the end of the day, we're only seeing, snips of their life, little pieces that are edited together for a show. So there is zero world in which you should send actual hate to these people on TV, because we don't really know how they are. These are my opinions from watching this on this show. No idea what he's like in real life. So if you're hearing my opinions, this is also my plea to not go seek these people out and say weird stuff to them. If you have weird stuff you want to say about them, say it in my comment section so we can all just stay here and gossip together. Because again, it's not real life. It's just TV. I mean, it's somebody's real life, but it's an edited version of their real life. So there's that. That's just one of my soapbox things that I always have to be on, because I just truly, this is a side tangent, but I just don't understand the concept of saying mean things to strangers on the internet over something you saw on TV. I probably, if Twitter would have been more prevalent when I was 16 watching reality TV, or maybe even as far as early 20s, it might be a different story. But the more we learn just as a society about reality TV, the more it just baffles me that people still will go just find somebody's TikTok and just go to their comment section to just say the most hateful things, crazy hateful things, or DM them. That's why I have my DMs turned off on TikTok. I'm not letting anybody random message me, because I'm not here for it. Weird concept. One of those things I don't think I'll ever understand. Our last couple is Kyle, 32, from Los Angeles, and Annie, who is 39 and living in Malta. I'm going to try to say all this next part as normal as I can, but I'm just saying it's not normal. Kyle has a hobby. I'm already getting mad. I'm trying not to get mad. I'm trying just to be normal. I'm trying to say this like it's a normal thing. Kyle has a hobby where he donates sperm to help people start their families. He's a private sperm donor, pretty much, and goes around the world doing this. And that is how he and Annie met. She saw his profile online, reached out for a consultation, and then what do you know? They started to hit it off. They have been talking virtually, like I guess over the phone, that sort of stuff, for 7 months. And then this trip is going to be him finally meeting her and, maybe even like not just becoming boyfriend and girlfriend, but maybe making a baby too. Unclear for 100%. And yeah, that's all super normal and what happened. And yep. So to start us off with, we're gonna have to go on a little like side journey adventure. So not recently, I guess a couple months ago maybe, I found somebody on TikTok. I'm gonna link her TikTok up here. I think it's like Laura Hughes, something like that. And she is an advocate for children who are made from a sperm donation. She's a sperm donation child and working to get rights for them. Because if you aren't really knowledgeable about that, which I wasn't until I started following her and looking into more of these things, there's not great like record keeping and databases to help these children with things like family medical history, also making sure you don't run into a half sibling. Also, a lot of sperm banks are very much like honor system, like sign this thing saying you won't go to other banks, but like there's nobody actually like really checking up on those things, and there's a lot of issues with that. So because of that, I started following her, looking into it, and recently she had brought up that there was a new documentary on Netflix called The Man with 1,000 Kids, and I was like, oh, interesting. I'm gonna watch that. And as I started watching this documentary that just recently came on Netflix, I was thinking to myself, oh, this guy is very similar to what Kyle from 90 Day Fiancé does. It's a different man. It's not Kyle. I'm not going to let you be thinking that's where this is going. But I was like, that's really funny. That's so funny that I just watched a 90 Day Fiancé guy for like a couple months talking about this and doing this. And now I'm watching this documentary. And it's one of those like little mini series. And I'm watching the very last episode. And guess who's a jump scare? Kyle. Kyle has a whole Vice little mini documentary from back before. It was like a couple years ago because I think he was only at like 30 something kids and counting. If I can, I'll link it up here or whatever. So if you want to go check that out after this video, you could go check it out. He's been on Dr. Phil. So he came up for like a split second, mostly because he was in a Facebook group with a man that the documentary was about, and Kyle was one of the admins of that Facebook group. I definitely recommend that documentary. Go check it out if you're interested in all that. But just so funny. I literally watched this documentary yesterday. So I was so glad I happened to watch that before I was filming that so I could add this part in. Because just how wild. I'm just sitting there like, la 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 la. And he comes up and I'm like, that man kind of looks like Kyle. But it was older, like I was saying. So he had more hair and stuff. And then he spoke and I went, I'm almost positive that's Kyle. And then they showed his name in the Facebook group and I went, crazy world we live in. But yeah, that's a little side tangent we have to go down for a moment. So back to the actual show. The first thing, this man steps off the plane in Malta and he starts out by telling this woman that she's got to earn his love, and says that there's actually going to be a point system, and that's how she's going to earn love and affection. She's to start. The first thing, even before the point system, is they have to wait about 2 or 3 days before they can kiss. And if she wants to do anything else, that's what's going to be based off the point system, a literal point system. He then proceeds to tell us in like an interview with the two of them about how she can earn or lose points. Yes, she can also lose points. He's like, things like drinking wine or smoking a cigarette, that will lose you a point. And you can gain points by like smelling nice and eating healthy. If I can't, this man is so glad he didn't say those words to me. I know I say all the time, we're just seeing little bits of this man's life. And I'm not saying he's a bad person, but I'm 100% saying I know I couldn't have more than about a 5-minute conversation with this man before I lost my mind. Because what? It gets better because in a private interview moment, he tells us like what the points are going to get her. He's like, about 3 points, I think, is when I'm gonna kiss her, and about 10 points to have sex. And he's saying this so seriously. But this is another one where I was just listening to this and being like, this can't be real. None of these conversations can be real. What is actually happening? I don't understand. And I feel like you can imagine one of the biggest conflicts between the two of them is the fact that he is a sperm donor, which, conceptually a little ridiculous because, that's kind of how you met him. So, like, obviously that's his hobby. But the reason she doesn't like it is because he doesn't just donate sperm like the kind of normal way that you would think of, where, you give it to the person and there's, different ways that they can put it in. He also offers to help you conceive a baby the natural way, if you know what I'm saying. So her big thing is not wanting him to do that. She kind of doesn't love the whole how many babies he's making all around the world, but she would consider it better if he wasn't at least doing that. And that's a big point of contention for them. Another little point we get at the very end, and is really not thrown in there until the end, is we find out that Annie has either an ex-boyfriend or a guy she was kind of talking to, and they hooked up literally the day before Kyle got there. But I'm not saying that's the right thing to do. I personally probably wouldn't want to do that and would be hurt if somebody did that to me, but they're not in a relationship. So technically my girl can do whatever she wants if we're being super real about it. But the 85% of us having to watch them is fighting about sperm donation in general. Because number one, he's very weird about all of it. I'm just being honest. I can't think of a nicer way to say that. It was so uncomfortable to watch him talk in detail about all the different stuff he needs to do and the way he treats his body. I was just so sick of it. I wasn't even uncomfortable by the end of it because all of it was brought up so much you get desensitized to it, but it was just annoying. I don't care, my God. I could not care less, truly and deeply. And all this fighting about that, and just Kyle's personality in general is just very odd. It seems very odd. I'm sure Annie has her own issues too, but they did not. The main thing we get to watch is just I don't even know how to describe it, and I don't even want to recommend going to watch it because it's not a good time watching. I wish there was a world in which you could just watch certain couples on 90 Day Fiancé, because I would have started skipping them. I truly couldn't take it at the end. These were the people I yelled the most at the TV. Just break up. They have no big stake in this. They've just been talking on the internet for 7 months. That's nothing. I just move on. Just move on with your life. Annie, there are greener pastures for you. My guy, I don't know about you, and I just don't want you on my television screen again. I realized technically there is a world in which you could watch it that way. You could always just fast forward through those couples, but I don't have that kind of control. I'm just lazy when I'm watching shows like this. I'm not gonna fast forward. I'd rather just sit there. I also love garbage, so we all have our vices. I'll watch things knowing it's bad. I do not care. Love it. Luckily, we get a happy ending on this show for once, and they do break up by the end of it. So that was fantastic. That made it worth watching, honestly. Again, I'm still not recommending it. I would recommend it if you could literally just watch Shawn and Alliya. That might be interesting. Our last scene is with them breaking up over tea. The big issue for him is that she slept with somebody the night before he got there. Again, it was also somebody she had kind of a previous relationship with. It wasn't just a rando. And then her thing, this moment made me so angry. Her thing is they do end up consummating their relationship, and she becomes concerned that she could have gotten pregnant. And after meeting him and spending some time with him, she's not really sure she wants to have a child by him anymore, much less be in a relationship with him. So he is coming to her place later. So she calls him and says, hey, if you wouldn't mind, will you please pick up some Plan B on your way to my place? And his answer is no. I know when you're ovulating, there's no way you could be pregnant. I'm not going to get that for you. That didn't happen. And she's like, number one, that's super weird. Number two, I don't care. That would make me feel more comfortable. I'm feeling uncomfortable. Can you please just do me a solid? And he's like, okay, whatever, blah, blah, blah. He gets to her place and didn't bring it. And is like, I already told you, like, it's not possible. So, I'm not, like, I wasn't going to get it because it's not possible. I wanted to come through the screen and just hit him repeatedly. And the way he talks about it during their breakup, he's like, well, it just made me feel like you were trying to pin a baby on me. Like you're trying to make it like my fault. Delusional man. I just do not understand. I'm so glad that she is away from this man. Unhinged. TLC, if you put him back on our screen, if you put him in single life, no, do not do it. Please, this is me begging. I'm on my knees. I'm not literally, but just imagine. Please, don't do this to me. That's it. He cannot hurt me anymore. It is gone from my mind. Now that I have had my chance and peace to rant about it, I can put it to rest and hopefully never think about it ever again. And that is all my thoughts on all the couples from our most recent season 4 of 90 Day Fiancé Love in Paradise. Overall, Paradise isn't really one of my favorite of the spinoffs. It's only on season 4. I don't actually know for sure that I've watched all the seasons. I have watched it before, but the non-committal stuff, especially like with the Kyle and Annie, where it's like really random like that, I want some commitment. I like the stakes of 90 Day Fiancé. Paradise always just kind of seems to fall flat for me, and that might just be my opinion. If you have a different one, I would love to hear why in the comments. Also, any of your thoughts, feelings, opinions about these couples, I would love to talk about all of that down below. Even though I do want to not think about it again, I'll make an exception if you want to comment and gossip with me. If you made it this far in the video, thank you so much. Don't forget to like the video if you enjoyed it. Maybe even subscribe to the channel. And until then, I'll see y'all in the next one.